If it hurts, game breaks, we'll get you, know it up, put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, do the game, tap, this win it in. First sheet again, we're here for the first minute. Carry everybody, keep it there for 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city, great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
The culture that Hype and everyone has created in this building, it's been phenomenal on teams, and we're only going to continue to be better. And the standard around here, I've said it before, I'll say it again, standards to be the damn best. And we're never stopping.
Oh, it was very meaningful. I don't lose in Florida. So I took that one to the heart. Pretty much take every game to the heart, but yeah, I don't lose in Florida.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It is Gator Hater Week, man. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. This never gets old. It never gets old jumping on here, live streaming, talking Tennessee football, hanging out with you guys in the chat. Man, I'm blessed. I was actually thinking about it today. I'm going to get sappy real quick before we get Ben on here and talk a little Tennessee football. But man, I was thinking about it today. We live streamed last night for like 4.5 hours. The show was over. I played like 10 minutes of music, just finishing up what I was doing. We did a little bonus fan call-in show in the middle of the night last night, went to bed, woke up, jumped on immediately with Gator and recorded Locked On VAWLS. That's going to be coming to your way on Friday morning, so make sure you check that out. Then I did a video of my own, interacted with a lot of you guys in the comments of that. Then I got on with BVD and Sports Talk Jay. We did an hour live stream. Now Ben's about to jump on the show. I am blessed. I am grateful, and it is because of you guys. Like, I say it all the time at the end of videos, but probably don't say it enough. I owe everything to you guys. I'm nothing without this community. You guys, for whatever reason, believe in this random dude sitting in his basement surrounded by video games, action figures, and toys, and you choose this place to be. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful for you for giving me the opportunity to do this thing full-time. Talk Tennessee football all day, every day. Let's run down the chat, see who's hanging out bright and early. Mike Jones is here, says GBO. Carson is in the house dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. What's up, brother? Prince Buck is here. What's up, my friend? We've got Little Spooky in the house, says, what's up, Boogie? What's up, my friend? Dylan is here. Rocky Top Tom is in the house. Kelly Goodwin is here, says, evening VAWLS cult. That's right, we are a cult. We are not a family. We are a cult. Noah James is here. Kaylin's in the house. What's up, Kaylin? Eric B. Jones is us here. Come on in, guys. Smash the thumbs up. Share this thing out. Put it on Twitter, Facebook. Tell Tom on MySpace that we are live. Let him know. Put me in your top 8. I will be eternally grateful. We got a bunch of super chats right out of the gate. You guys being generous. Culberson for $5. Appreciate that, buddy. In Joe, I trust at least one more week. Maybe we will talk about that tonight. Thank you, Culberson. Noah James for $2 says Dorfy. Appreciate that, my man. Joe's Bazooka, been a member for 5 months. 5 months of support. Thank you for that. Says LSU top win in the swamp. Let's go. I'm down for that. Noah James for 2. Want to be anywhere else. Appreciate that, Noah. Knoxville Predator Catcher for 5. Boogie, I've been hearing that Tennessee will only play Alabama, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt annually after 2024. Thoughts on not playing Florida and Georgia yearly? There's so much speculation about what the SEC is going to look like moving forward. The game is constantly changing, right? Are they going to have divisions? Are they not going to have divisions? I don't really speculate a lot. The one game I want on the schedule every single year is Alabama. So, it's never going to look the same. So we'll see. Knoxville Predator Catcher, we'll see how that plays out. Donovan for $20. What's up, buddy? Long time no see. Says people need to get off Joe's back is ridiculous. It's just 2 games. He will be just fine. The key to play to this game, easy for me to say, is Jalen Wright, plain and simple. Vols will rush for 300 yards. Ben, what are your keys to victory? Well, I will keep that in my back pocket, and we will ask Ben that here in just a few moments, probably towards the end of him being on. But thank you, Donovan, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Brother, let's get Ben on here, and let's talk some Tennessee football. Ben, it's good to have you back on the show, buddy. What's going on?
What's up, Boogie? How are you? Appreciate you having me back on.
I'm excited, man. It's Florida week. And before we jump into Florida and Tennessee and all this stuff, I was thinking about it. There's so many people, and everybody has a rival. And it's like some of the older guys are Alabama. They hate Alabama. For me, it's Georgia, and it's kind of strange. Should kind of be Florida with my age. A lot of people my age hate Florida, and I hate them all. But Georgia, I despise Georgia. Who is your biggest rival? Who when you see them on the schedule, does it mean a little bit more to you?
Alabama. It's that Alabama game, especially because my dad was in the Army, and his second to last place he was stationed was the Redstone Arsenal there in Huntsville, Alabama. So senior year of high school was in Alabama, and went to community college for a couple of years before transferring to UT in Huntsville as well. So all of my friends that I'm still in touch with, they haven't messed with me over the last year or so since Jalen Hyatt caught 5 touchdowns. But there for a good minute, as long as I lived in Alabama, it was an Alabama win every single season. So I was poked and prodded quite a bit. But like I mentioned, my dad was in the military. I'm an Army brat. So we were also stationed down in Georgia outside of Savannah as well, in Fort Stewart. So I got to deal with Georgia fans as a freshman and sophomore in high school as well. And you're kind of creeping down there towards Gainesville. So any of those 3, but as I've gotten older, it's certainly Alabama.
Papa J in the chat drops a $5 super chat, says Dorfy paid. There are no good Georgia fans. Let's go big orange, beat the Gators. I think, what, you trying to get me to read that, Papa J? Come on, brother. Come on. Yeah, beat the Gators. Let's beat the Gators. I just always hated Georgia because they had nothing to celebrate, but they were so obnoxious. Anyway, it's Gator Hater Week. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about the Gators, but also I want to talk about emotional reactions. Fans are so emotional. We kind of talked a little bit before we went live about the changes in how we feel about this game. Florida struggles in week 1. They lose to Utah. Vols by 50. We're going to roll. We are going to roll Florida. And then Tennessee sleepwalks through that Austin Peay game. Still get the win 30-13. I've said it multiple times this weekend. Or this week, we can be emotional. Fans are emotional, but guess who's not emotional, and that's Vegas. And they're still sticking with Tennessee by 6.5. How much do you put into that Austin Peay performance, again, sleepwalking, and how do you feel going into Florida? Confident or a little nervous because of that game?
Both. Am I allowed to say both?
Sure.
I'm fairly confident that Tennessee is going to win on Saturday. I think they're the better team, but like you mentioned, we were talking before we pressed live, and that Austin Peay game, it allowed some doubt to creep into your mind. So I went into Austin Peay the season as a whole thinking that Tennessee is much better than Florida, and I still kind of believe that. But that Austin Peay performance by the offense and mostly the passing attack, I think there were a lot of positives in that win that have been overshadowed because Joe and the receivers didn't play that well. But those are big concerns. Like you can't be that off whether it was Joe, whether it was this receiver, that receiver, a tight end, pass protection, which I don't think pass protection was a huge issue, but there were times where it popped up. But it was certainly mostly the skill position guys and Joe. You toy around and mess around like that in the swamp on Saturday night, and you'll probably lose unless the defense can pitch a shutout, which I kind of think that they're capable. Maybe not an exact shutout, but I think the defense is in for a big night on Saturday. But there's just no guarantees. So I do think, again, Tennessee, top to bottom, the better football team on both sides of the ball. But that Joe Milton performance, wide receiver performance, did allow some doubt to creep in. It felt like you didn't enter that game with many questions, but you exited with more questions and less certainty heading into the swamp. Now, Joe specifically, I know everybody's kind of on Joe this week, and rightfully so, I guess. I mean, he is the quarterback at the University of Tennessee, kind of comes with the territory. I do think more people are on him than there should be. Not saying that Joe played well against Austin Peay. I don't think that he did, but I do think you also, if you're going to point that out, also point out that the receivers did him no favors. Multiple guys at the position did him no favors, and they are too talented. Joe's too talented. The receivers are too talented to not step up and make those plays that were lacking on Saturday night. But to me, like, there's two different Joes. Like, there's 2021 Joe, the old Joe, and then starting in 2022, there's this new Joe. And I know that last year's sample size was very small, and even if you add in the 2 games this year, it creates an overall small sample size of the new Joe since the start of 2022 season. That's the first time we've seen him kind of revert back to his old ways by being inaccurate with the football and not being able to show touch on it. So it's maybe a red flag that you plant in the ground and keep in the back of your head. But I'm not too concerned, just because, again, since we've seen the new Joe since the start of the 2022 season, that's really the first time, in my opinion, that he's looked like that, where he's been inaccurate.
Yeah, I thought Joe played well against Virginia. A lot of people wanted to complain about him coming out of that game, but I feel like it's one of those deals where if Joe makes one mistake, everybody's on him. And it's because they look back to old Joe, right, versus new Joe. And, again, I thought he played really good at Virginia. He had one drive where he kind of struggled a little bit, obviously struggled early against Austin Peay, and then they kind of changed the game plan. I don't know what the game plan was going into that game. Everybody, obviously, we always say, oh, it's vanilla, it's going to be very basic, and it was. It was very basic, especially in the second half. I don't know what the game plan was early. They tried to hit some shots over the middle, some slants, some crossing stuff. Of course, like you said, everybody wants to criticize Joe. The wide receivers were not helping him in any way, shape, or form. Of course, I know you and Swain always on there talking. Oh, Swain's an old wide receiver. He's going to get on the wide receivers and say, you got to catch the football. If it hits you in the hands, you got to catch the football. If you're Josh Heupel, and you're going into this Florida game, 7 p.m. kick. Florida's going to be a hostile environment. Look, and we're going to get into it here in just a second, just how this game feels like it's big for both programs in different ways. It's going to be a hostile environment. What are you doing early to try to get Joe comfortable? What does your play calling look like in that first series or two to try to settle in and get Joe going early?
I want to establish the run and then allow Joe to feed off of the run. And as much talk as there's been about the passing game this week, I think, unfortunately, it's covering up the fact that Tennessee has a nice rushing attack. I really, really like this Tennessee rushing attack. The offensive line has been further ahead than I anticipated through 2 weeks, especially with Cooper Mays being out. I think with Cooper being out, I expected there to be more plays in which the opposing defensive line was living in the backfield, and there really hasn't been. There's been very few instances in which Joe was pressured. Against Virginia, they did a great job of keeping him protected, and then against Austin Peay as well. If they had a mistake, it was more mental than physical, because Austin Peay was showing different looks with their formations and whatnot, and that's something that you can correct in film study. So with the possibility of adding Cooper back this week, I'm not saying that Florida's defensive line is not good, but it's not the Florida defensive line that everybody watching this and listening to this right now became accustomed to since the early 90s or since Spurrier got there, where for 20, 30 straight years, it seemed like they just have dude after dude after dude, and they have like 7 of them, very similar to like Alabama or Georgia nowadays. And again, they're not bad up front. They've been aided by the transfer portal, but they're not that typical Florida defensive front that is nasty and instills fear in you. I if I'm Tennessee's offensive coaches, I'm not scared of Florida's defensive front. I'm really not. And I think this is a game where the running game should lead the way, especially on the road. You're trying to create some early momentum. Feed Jalen Wright. He is an NFL running back. He is gone after this year if he stays healthy. Appreciate him while you can now, because he's an NFL back here in a couple of months. Feed off of that. And then once you establish the run, allow Joe to pick his spots where he can be aggressive, easy completions, build that confidence back up. Because I do think that is an interesting storyline in this game with Joe going back to Florida, his home state. He grew up, I assume, all his life in the Orlando area. That's certainly where he played his high school ball, 2 hours up the road in Gainesville. And he'll have a ton of family there. You played his comments that he made over the summer in your intro about how he doesn't lose in the state of Florida. There's a lot on the line for Joe in this game. And like at some point, you got to go prove it if you're Joe Milton. And this is a perfect game to do so. So allow him to get comfortable early. And I think you can do that by establishing the run. I would be very surprised if Florida's defensive front just eliminates Tennessee's rushing attack. I don't want to say that Tennessee's going to run for 250, 300 yards. I think it's possible, but obviously that would be a huge night. But it's certainly an outing in which they can have success. I would be surprised if Tennessee does not have success running the football. Feed off of that and allow Joe to get comfortable off of that.
Yeah, I think too. Like when I talk about Joe, I agree with you. I think you need to run the football. Maybe get some of those quick sideline throws early. Kind of get Joe just in the groove, man. Get that confidence going. Florida's going to have to creep somebody down in the box, and when they do, I think that's when Joe needs to be accurate, right? When he's got to hit that throw over the top, or we got to attack vertical, that's when I want to see Joe kind of dial in. We'll see. We got 273 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys choosing us on Gator Hater Week. Make sure you smash the thumbs up, share out the link, all that fun stuff. Got a couple of super chats here. Tennessee Boy 87 for 5. Door fee paid. I hate them all. Go Vols. I don't disagree with that. I kind of hate them all too. Pit Boss for $10. Appreciate the super chat. Door fee. GBO, thank you, Pit Boss. I appreciate that. You know, a lot of these guys around here on my channel, for whatever reason, they come up with ideas that I never thought of, and they feel that they need to pay a door fee or an entry fee. So I allow it. I don't argue with it. It's their idea, not my idea, but I will let it happen. Let's talk about this Tennessee-Florida game just from like the outside looking in, not necessarily the nitty-gritty and the details and the football talk, but it's interesting to me because I don't think it's must-win. That word gets thrown around way too much. It's not must-win, especially for Tennessee, but Billy Napier and the Gators, they need a win, and they need it in a desperate way. Lost 4 of their last 5. The only win, again, McNeese State. Like that's not a very big win for Florida. And then you look over at Tennessee and everybody in the media, everybody that's got a microphone in front of their face, you're talking about the streak and how the Vols haven't won since 2003. You're asking people, do you know who Casey Clausen is? Probably not. You probably weren't born yet. You have no idea. Coming off of an 11-win season. Current recruiting class sitting inside the top 10. You want to keep that momentum rolling. And for me, looking at the predictions from the offseason, I kept saying that Florida game. That's the one you got to get. You drop that game, maybe we're sliding back more than we want to. I think it's important. What do you think? Just the overall grand scheme of this game feels important, man. It feels important.
Absolutely. And one more point on the game plan with Joe that I thought was interesting you brought up. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm making Joe be accurate. I'm making him make passes down the field, those intermediate passes that were wide open against Austin Peay that SEC football players should consistently hit on a regular basis. That's what I'm doing if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator, is trying to make Joe hit those throws consistently. But what will be interesting to see plays out is if you drop that extra man in the coverage. You mentioned bringing an extra guy up in the box, which I agree with you, but that also doesn't help try and force Joe into making those throws like Virginia and Austin Peay has these first 2 weeks. So that internal battle with defensive coordinators trying to slow down a very talented Tennessee rushing attack or trying to force Joe to beat you, how that dynamic plays out is going to be interesting in my opinion, because if you try to make Joe beat you with his arm, then there's not that extra person in the box, and Tennessee's going to run the football all day long. But then if you do bring that extra guy up in the box, Joe has the arm talent, as we all know, to really make you pay, although he does need to go prove that consistently. So that was a great point by you. And
don't you think he's been better, like deep, like putting touch on the ball? Like
Yes,
it seems like
absolutely.
I felt like last year it was kind of the stuff over the middle, the crosses. I thought he was really good there. Now it seems like it's kind of he's put more touch on the ball. I'm interested, man. I love Joe. I'm a big Joe supporter. I was for Joe from Jump Street when everybody's yelling about Harrison Bailey, and I'm like, man, Joe's the guy. And I just think 3 years of development. Of course, we're getting completely sidetracked here, but 3 years of development, man. It's time for. I want the Joe Milton redemption story. That's what I'm really pulling for this season. But overall, grand scheme of things, Tennessee, Florida, the matchup feels important.
Oh, it's very important for both teams. Two totally different reasons. If you're Florida, you want to instill hope into your program, the people within your program, because I'm sure they haven't gotten off to the start in Gainesville that they anticipated. But also, it feels like this Florida fan base is just waiting for something to jump on Billy Napier's back about. And they've already kind of been on his back about things, and rightfully so. I think he's a good head coach, and I was very surprised that he struggled in year one. I was high on Billy Napier when he was at Louisiana. So I was surprised, and they jumped on his back. But I think if they were to lose this game, then they would really, really get after him. And so, like, if you're Florida, you obviously want to keep up the momentum that you mentioned, the recruiting. You want to keep that momentum up on the recruiting trail, because what happens if all of a sudden Tennessee wins this game on Saturday, maybe even wins decisively, which I think is a real possibility? Then Utah and Tennessee has beaten you decisively, and now you have all these other games you have to play on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that recruiting class, all of a sudden, we've heard publicly about all the NIL issues. Then you pair losses on the football field with it, and all of a sudden that's a real bad situation for Billy Napier and the Gators. So they obviously want to win for that reason, and it's significant for that reason. But for Tennessee, I agree with you. I wouldn't go as far as calling it a must-win, but I do kind of think that this is as close to a must-win without labeling it one, just because you do kind of want to keep your foot on the pedal. You want to keep your foot on the neck of the Gators. You want to, kind of plant your flag in the swamp and say, yeah, we haven't won here since 2003, but this is a different Tennessee football program. You want to prove that last year was not a fluke. You want to prove that you are going to be a consistent, dominant force, that these SEC East teams that beat up on you for so long, they're not going to do that anymore. So to keep the momentum up, I think is very, very important for this Tennessee football program. If they lose, it's not something that they're going to not be able to overcome. I'm not going to lose confidence in Heupel. I still think he's a championship caliber coach, even if they lose on Saturday. So I think it's also very important for Tennessee's football program, just because you want to continue to build your program. And right now they're ahead of Florida. They're so far out in front of Florida, and you want to maintain that lead on them. And to kind of go back to Joe, the micro level, I think this is a huge game for Joe as well. I mentioned it a moment ago. I'm a big believer in Joe. I don't think he's going to have a bad season. And he's an awesome person. You want him to be successful so much, like you were just talking about. But at some point, you've got to go prove it. You've got to go prove that you have changed and developed from being the guy that got benched at Michigan, that got benched by Hendon Hooker in year one of Heupel. You've got to go prove yourself at some point. And this Saturday in prime time with Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler, back in your home state, backing up the comments you made over the summer, this is the perfect opportunity to do so.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Jeff Puckett for $10. Appreciate that, brother. You can bet Florida is going to do everything they can to stop the run, see if Joe can consistently sustain drives. I agree, Jeff. I think that's what they are going to try to do. Appreciate that super chat. Shannon DeCannon for $20. That is not cheap, Shannon. That is not cheap. I appreciate that, brother. Says, plain and simple, this is one of those games where data only complicates things. I hope the team I've been looking for shows up in Gainesville ready to do what they did in Baton Rouge last year. GBO. It's so funny because me and Ben were just talking about this right before we went live. It's like, man, week one versus week two, so many polar opposite things happened. The matchups, it's like, we really don't have a grasp of what this team is yet. And we're going to find out Saturday night at 7 o'clock inside the Swamp. So you're not wrong, Shannon DeCannon. Appreciate that super chat, brother. You guys are so generous. I appreciate the way you support this channel and what we're trying to do around here. Let's talk a little bit about defense. Something you said the last time you were on the channel, and I got giddy. Man, I got giddy because you talked about this Tennessee front seven and how good they look throughout fall camp. 2 weeks into this thing, and again, Virginia, Austin Peay, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Do what you're supposed to do against inferior opponents. Tennessee leading the country in sacks and also tackles for loss through 2 weeks. 11 sacks, 26 tackles for loss. And again, you talked about how good this front seven looked, and now we're talking about, Keenan Peely being out for a little while. They still look good. I think Elijah Herring has looked good. We go back to that Utah game. Gators' offensive line looked pretty bad against Utah, and then they turn around and run the football for 327 yards against a really bad McNeese State team. But how do you like the matchup? For me, you mentioned Tennessee could go down there and shut out the Gators. How much of a difference is this compared to last year, compared to year one of Josh Heupel? How do you like this matchup, Tennessee's front seven versus that Gators offensive line? And then you can take it a step further and talk a little bit about Tennessee's offensive line against the Gators front on defense.
Yeah, I love the matchup for Tennessee's defensive front on paper, which does go back to kind of what you were just talking about. I feel like I know that Tennessee is a really good football team based on how they performed against Virginia and mostly against Austin Peay. But Virginia lost to James Madison, and Austin Peay is an FCS school. And then Utah beats down on Florida, but then goes and loses to Baylor over the weekend. And meanwhile, Florida whoops up on McNeese State, which, to be fair, a lot of people think that McNeese State is worse than Austin Peay. I've heard that comment thrown around a time or two this week. McNeese is just not really good. So I think I know about each team, but also like there's a little self-doubt in my head as well. And like I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong about how I feel about each team. But on paper, in the trenches is where this game is going to be won, in my opinion. Because especially for Tennessee's offensive line, it's going to set up Joe to be successful. It's going to set up the running game to be successful. You just give Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, Jabari Small a little sliver of a hole, a little crease to make something happen, and they're going to make something happen. But it's a Tennessee offensive line that's got to make it happen. So, and on the flip side of that, you asked me about the defensive line first for Florida going up against Tennessee's defensive line going up against Florida's offensive line. That's the matchup that I think really, really favors Tennessee in this one. I am very, very high on this Tennessee defensive front, as you mentioned. Yes, that Virginia offensive line is terrible. Yes, the Austin Peay offensive line is an FCS offensive line. Tennessee's D-line did what it's supposed to do. It is technically a small sample size, but I also think it's fair to point out last year, this Tennessee defensive front played a massive role in several games. And a lot of the defensive linemen in those games, along with Aaron Beasley, are back this season. So although it is a small sample size for the 2023 season, I think there's a lot of tape on a lot of guys in this front seven, which should give Tennessee fans hope. And you look at this Florida offensive line, it was really, really good last year, which it should be. They have two offensive line coaches. They have co-offensive line coaches, which is something. I've never heard of that until Billy Napier got to Florida and built a 110-man staff there in Gainesville. But Osiris Torrance, he leaves. Richard Garage, he leaves. And I believe those guys were out of eligibility. But then you had a couple of guys, Michael Tarkin and Ethan White. They're playing at USC, two unexpected transfers there. And then their starting center, Kingsley Igukan. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't, Kingsley. But he was really good last season. But he's kind of a Cooper May situation where he's missed the first 2 games of the year. So that Florida offensive line is just really, really depleted. They're hoping that an FIU transfer that was actually committed to Alex Golish and USF at one point and then flipped his commitment to Florida while he was in the transfer portal. They're hoping that he can rotate in and help as well. And then there's another freshman that they're relying to rotate in and help as well. So I just think that's a Florida offensive line that's playing musical chairs. And then it's a Tennessee defensive front that's proven. And again, I would be very, very surprised if Tennessee's defensive front isn't successful. I just think they're much better than Florida's offensive line, quite frankly. And what you've seen the last 2 weeks is more of a reality than a small sample size. And The Tennessee offensive line is the bigger question mark than the defensive line. There's no doubt about that. Sounds like there's a better chance than not that Cooper Mays plays. Not that that's 1,000% written in stone. Write that in pencil, not Sharpie. But it seems like he's trending in the right direction. I believe that Josh Heupel's comments the last couple of days have been positive in regards to his availability. So if you slide Cooper in there and then at left guard, you have Ollie Lane, who I think's had a nice start to the season. John Campbell's been awesome at left tackle. You know what you're going to get from Javonte Spraggins. And then Crawford and Minty kind of go back and forth. And I don't know that either one of them is going to get you beat. But I would like to see Mincy more consistently at right tackle. I think his athleticism provides a little more than Crawford out there at right tackle. So it is kind of a Tennessee offensive line that is a little bit in a state of flux at the moment. But I talked about Florida's defensive front off the top of the show. Like I just don't think that they're that great. They're not the Florida defensive front that we grew up learning and understanding what they are and just dude after dude after dude. They're not that. They're also kind of a huge question mark for this Florida defense. So on paper, in my opinion, when I look at the matches in the trenches, I favor both Tennessee's offensive line and defensive line.
Let me hit a couple more super chats here. I'm going to ask you one more question. We'll get you out the door. Wayne Starnes for 5. Appreciate that, brother. Joe just needs to be himself. Give this team an identity on offense. Receivers got to help their quarterback. I want all 11 playing together in rhythm. So many people want to compare Hendon to – wow, I just did it. Did you hear what just came out of my mouth? They want to compare Joe to Hendon, and it's like – Joe's not Hendon. And I think the big thing about this team is you take a step on defense. You freaking feed Jalen Wright till he's doing this, which it may be 6 plays. I don't know. The way the first couple of weeks have played out. But he's a monster, man. Get the run game going. Play some defense and let Joe just be efficient. Joe doesn't have to go put the team on his back. He just needs to go be Joe. Ryan Miller for $10. Appreciate that super chat. The D-line is going to make Mertz make some bad decisions. Tennessee wins in the swamp for the first time since I was 19. Go Big Orange. You know, that's something I've been talking about because I'm so excited about this defensive line and the way they're getting pressure. Graham Mertz will make mistakes. He's only thrown 1 interception through 2 games this year, through 10 interceptions a year ago, 11 interceptions 2 years ago. So I think they get pressure on Mertz. I think he will make bad decisions. He'll put the ball in traffic, and maybe Tennessee can capitalize on that. Give us the last final rundown, Ben. What does Tennessee have to do on Saturday to come out of there with a W? We've talked about it to death, but still give us the biggest, most important things Tennessee's got to do on Saturday night.
If there is one thing I would say that they absolutely have to do, it's stop Florida's rushing attack. If they do that, they probably blow out Florida, to be quite honest. And what the definition of a blowout is, I don't know. To me, like 15-point win in the swamp, based off of how that history has gone for Tennessee, would feel like a blowout. But Florida's going to want to run the football. That's Billy Napier's identity. You go read any article on Florida football right now since they lost to Utah, and it's all about committing to the run, being better in the run game. Against Utah, I think Montrell Johnson, who is really good, they have 2 very talented backs in Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne. They are very, very talented. But against Utah, they barely gave them the football, which was very surprising. And then since that point, Billy Napier did kind of recognize that he messed up in that Utah game by not giving them the football a ton. And they tried to re-correct that against McNeese. And I think they ran for like 275 yards. But like we said earlier, that McNeese team is not good at all. So how much did they actually improve? What was that actually them turning a corner in the running game? Or was that them taking advantage of playing McNeese? That's something that we will obviously learn on Saturday night. But you go back last year, I mentioned it earlier, Tennessee's defensive front, it set the tone in a lot of games and bottled up the traditional run in several games last year. And there were times where dual threat quarterbacks got out of the pocket and hurt Tennessee's defense. But the traditional run, handing it off to the running back, Tennessee's defense played really, really well in those games last season. And I think that trend kind of continues on Saturday night. Just talked about that offensive line that I don't have a ton of faith in for Florida. And although they do have 2 talented backs, I just don't know that they're going to be able to open up holes for those backs to take advantage of. So even if Tennessee's offense kind of shows up with a C performance, I think they can show up with a C performance and still beat Florida based off of what I think this Tennessee defensive front is going to do to Florida's offense. Now, I wouldn't recommend the Tennessee offense showing up with a C level game. That they need to be better. They need to be more crisp than they were against Austin Peay. But I really think that this Tennessee defensive front is going to set the tone in this game. And if it does shut down the run game, like I think it's very, very capable of, I think it's going to be a Tennessee win on Saturday night in the Swamp.
I love it, man. It's always appreciate you coming on. I always kind of anytime I can create a little rift between you and Gator and get you guys arguing with each other. I was on his show a couple of weeks ago, and I made a comment about, I think it was you talking about the front seven, and I was like, had Ben McKee on from the other side. And I like to poke the bear and pick, but, man, I say it all the time. I enjoy, man. I said it at the top of this video. Like, I'm so blessed to be able to come on here and talk Tennessee football, and I like hanging out with you and Gator because I think you're the upcoming guys in the media, right? You are the guys, you bust your asses, you put in so much work. Like, I try to relay that to the chat because I see it behind the scenes when I'm talking to you guys, or we're, and you're always open and willing to come on this platform. So it's always fun to have you on. I enjoy talking ball with you. Been a fan of your work for long before anybody even knew what Talkin VAWLS was. Guys, go support Ben. All the links are in the description. You can go see what's going on at his Twitter account at Ben McKee 14. Also, Go Vols 247 Sports. Go sub up his YouTube channel. Let's blow up his subscribers on YouTube. He posts the press conferences. He gets the most praise for being able to hear everybody, not just what the person being interviewed said. Anything else going on over at Go Vols 247? You guys got any specials, any deals going on right now?
Getting ready to make that trek down to the Swamp on Friday. We'll be down there, all four of us, live and in person. So we'll have plenty of coverage of Tennessee and Florida up at GoVols247.com. And Boogie, always appreciate you having me on. I always get excited when you text me and ask me to come on. So happy to jump on anytime you need me, my friend.
Appreciate it, buddy. We will talk soon. Have fun. Be safe. Enjoy, hopefully, a Tennessee victory in the Swamp.
Yes, sir. You enjoy Saturday night as well.
All right. We'll catch up later, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
See you, bud.
All right. That is Ben McKee from Go Vols 247. Also, the Swain event. Always have a good time talking football with Ben McKee. We've still got 367 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Help us out. Smash the thumbs up. That is quick, free, and easy. And then you can hit the share button. That takes a little bit longer, but it's still free and easy. Hit share, put it on Twitter, Facebook. Let somebody know we're live. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, go check this out. We got brand new merch. If you don't have the brand new merch, and I don't know why this chick from Bonfire keeps trying to message me to tell me that we've updated our base cost. I don't care. It won't go away, but whatever. Go check out the merch, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Everybody is using the Vols letters. Danny White brought them back. I love them. You love them. We all love them. One of my first memories of seeing Neyland Stadium is those letters. You can check out that shirt as well as the new Big Orange Colt members shirt. But go check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is in the description below as well. And as always, I want to thank the members of the channel. You guys pay the light bill around here. Could not do this full-time without you guys supporting this channel. You can hit the join button down below for as little as $1. That's it. If you're watching this stream right now, you're like, man, I enjoy the fact that Boogie brings on Gator and Ben McKee and BVD and Sports Talk Jay. Anybody that wants to talk Tennessee football, Boogie brings them on the channel and we have a good time. Hit that join button down below and support what we got going on around here. Also, you want to be a part of the fan call-in shows. That's how. The more you give, the quicker you get on the show. Every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we have a fan call-in show where you guys come on and drive the show. And then an hour before kickoff, every Saturday, you guys come on for a tailgate show. It's always a good time. We appreciate the support. Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Matt Mars for 10. Not the least bit worried about this one. We've got Coach Josh Heibel, the streak breaker, and he will have these boys ready to end this one as well. 42-10. Go Vols. I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you for the super chat. John Mills for 5. Last time we won, I was Sergeant First Class in Afghanistan. I'm now retired Sergeant Major. GBO this week. Thank you, John. Also, thank you for your support, or your service. My goodness. Thank you for your service, man. I appreciate that. We love to support our military around here, so thank you, John. Appreciate that. All right, let's carry on. We got a fun show coming up. Let's get this guy on here because he hates the Gators. Let's get this guy on here because, well, he's look at him. He's got the best swag in the business. Always looking good. Got that hair, that clean beard. I told you guys the prodigal son was coming home, and he is back. And he's muted, but he's here.
I'm back.
What happened to
Good
you?
to be back.
It's been 9 months. It's been 9 months. You ghosted me. You left me on red. You disappeared. Look how long his hair is.
That's what I say. Your hairdo explains a lot. Yeah, it looked like you crawled out of a cave.
I've been in
somewhere.
I've been in the cave for 9 months. I got tired of Twitter, so I just abandoned ship. I had to reconnect with everything that isn't social media for a little while. So can't blame me for that. You can't blame me for that. So,
Hey,
but I'm
we
back.
all
I'm
need a break.
happy to be back. Happy to be here. Be talking Tennessee football. It's been an interesting season so far. So I'm excited. It's Gator week.
Yeah, we got to kind of unpack that. We got to unpack that because you've not been on in 9 months. So let's talk about spring practice. Let's talk about the offseason. Let's talk about the transfer portal. Let's talk about fall camp. Maybe we can talk about recruiting, the guys we missed on. Actually, just right out of the gate, Gabe, like what are your thoughts on the season so far, 2 weeks into this thing?
My thoughts are, I think, a lot less than other people's thoughts. I'm just trying my best not to overthink this season so far. Man, so many people. There's just been a lot of overthinking so far this season, as it usually is in this fan base, and it's the way it goes. But I'm just enjoying the ride, man. I mean, I can't reiterate enough that I was raised my entire life watching Tennessee football suck over and over again. False hope. I grew up watching Tennessee suck. We've had one taste of success. I'm just trying to ride along. If we're winning games, I'm good with that. I remember losing to Georgia State not too long ago, just a few years ago. You know, you can't take anything for granted. So I know that last week wasn't pretty, but we won, and that matters to me. So I'm just excited to see where the rest of this season goes. I think it can be a really good season for UT.
Dauber, some of us are older than 23 years old, and we've experienced the glory years. It's not acceptable to suck against Austin Peay, is it?
It is not. Yeah, we went through we did a little series on that called the Fall of the VAWLS, and
to educate some of the young pups around here.
It was tough to relive that and go through it.
Like I said, y'all were spoiled for the glory days.
We were spoiled by 9 and 10 win seasons because they were an every season thing. And, you get to the month of November and it was warm up games for your bowl game. You weren't losing to Vandy, Kentucky, South Carolina. It was 3 weeks of, prep for the postseason. And, just that the whole debacle of, going from coach to coach. And I think falling behind in recruiting and then actually kind of some parity and the emergence of teams like Clemson and stuff that, we are regionally close and directly in competition for some of the guys that we were recruiting for. It took Tennessee down, not just a peg, but a couple of pegs from where they were. And, just to see what Coach Heupel and staff have done coming in, in such a short time to turn things around.
Did you see the name of that account?
In the photo.
Nice.
I love this community. I couldn't help myself. I completely lost track of everything that Dauber just said because of that one human being that is making my day on the internet.
That's perfect. It's good to see you, son.
Father.
You don't write, you don't call. But here we are, Gator Hater Week, and man, I'm ready to go down there and get a W.
Me too.
How are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling? This is your week, X. You're decked out in your Gator Hater mugs. You freaking hate Florida. Boogie. How you feeling? Are you confident? Are you talking trash? Are you running your mouth to Florida fans? You think we're going to go down there and beat the brakes off of them?
Boogie, I have been preaching ever since I've been on this channel, brother. I have been preaching that, yes, it is time to go down to Gainesville and break the losing streak, break the spell, whatever you want to call it. It is time. Because listen, if we can do the same thing with Alabama this past season in Neyland, we can do the same thing going down to Gainesville. So yes, I mean, I'm honestly a little bit of both. It's like it's nervous, it's excitement, but yes, I honestly think it's more confident because, well, it's like what saying you posted the video with Joe Milton having the only players meeting. Like basically he had a come to Jesus meeting with the players saying, hey guys, look, that performance, we play like trash. And I expect, and I love that from Joe Milton that, yeah, he puts himself on high standards to say like, hey guys, I'm the leader of the squad. My bad. And even we expect Josh Heupel to have this team to a very high standard, especially if we want to win, even come close to winning the East or even in the SEC championship or national championship. So yes, man. I mean, I expect this team to go down there and just dominate, just show out.
Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. We got $2 from Dirty Dodge. Appreciate that, brother. Tennessee is going to come out shooting Saturday. GBO. Gosh, I hope so. If they don't start fast, I'm going to be so nervous. I'm going to be nervous all day long. We're talking about it streaming with BBD and Sports Talk J at noon today. And it's like Sports Talk. BBD asked, when would you rather the game be? At noon, at 3:30, at 7? And it's like we're talking about 7 o'clock. You're nervous all day long waiting on that thing to start. VFL Logan for – wait, what? VFL – see, it's technically VFL Ogun. Or is it VF Logan B? Or is it VFL Ogun B? Logan for $10 says, glad Gabe is back. I'm so desperate to keep this momentum. This is why it's a must-win to me. We talked about that. Thank you, Logan, for the super chat. Appreciate that, brother. I asked Ben about that, and it's an interesting dynamic, Dauber. It is very interesting, and I'll just repeat the same crap I just said to Ben and see what you guys think about it, because Billy Napier's on the hot seat already, and kind of a narrative, and I heard Volquest talking about it, and I think it's interesting. AP said those Gator fans are looking for a reason to get pissed off, get up, and leave the stadium and just walk out. They are looking for that excuse. On the flip side, they're looking for that little spark, that little bit of hope that is going to turn the Swamp into the most hostile environment you have ever seen. You're talking about losing 4 of your last 5, and then, Ben kind of mentioned the schedule moving forward. They got a murderer's row coming up on that schedule. And then you flip over to Tennessee. We talked about it, the streak. We all know Casey Clausen. We all know how long it's been. Gabe, were you even alive in 2003?
Yeah.
Barely.
I wasn't
barely.
watching. I wasn't paying attention to the game, but I was
No.
barely alive. Yeah.
You were still crapping in your diapers probably in 2003.
Yep.
It's
Probably
been a
so.
minute since we've won at the Swamp. Like, how big is this game? Who has more pressure, Dauber? Tennessee to continue the momentum, or Florida, because the wheels are about to fall off?
Listen, most of these guys that are down there, like you said, they don't know anything about this. They don't know the streak. They probably don't even know Casey Clausen.
There's no way. There's no way.
It's those things. I think I trust Coach Heupel and the staff. Do I have questions about Joe Milton? Yes, I still have questions about Joe Milton. The one thing that I do like, the big stat right here. He's 2-0 this year, regardless of what you think should have happened last Saturday. They came out with the W. They came out on top. The guy has, he's completing 66% of his passes this year, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions for his entire time at the University of Tennessee. He protects the football. And I think that's one thing that is going to be key to this. Tennessee's going to have to – this isn't like years past where, you're playing a team and you got to go out and play a perfect game. Tennessee can go out and not play a perfect game, but you don't want to give them any help. You don't want to have turnovers. You don't want to have mistakes with penalties because, like you said, Boogie, this crowd, Tennessee starts quick and fast and gets up early, you're going to take them right out of it. If you don't, they're going to be in the game. They're going to be loud. Anytime you go on the road in conference, it's going to be hostile. And any bit of momentum, any opportunity that this team can, or that the Gators can feed off of their crowd and just hang around and just build that, build the big mo and get it on their side. You want to stifle any of that and just snuff it out and put your foot on the gas and like old Indy Kid said, let's stomp on their throats. Let's stomp on their throats and just keep it there. Don't let up.
Yeah,
Nope.
I'll tell you what, the last thing I want to see to open this game offensively for Tennessee this weekend is a quick pop pass out to the perimeter to one of the wide receivers. I do not want to see that. I don't want to see a run up the middle as the first play. I mean, it's the first play, whatever, but Tennessee needs to come out quick. It's been an argument as to how they should get started. Should they get started slow and try and build up confidence with Joe Milton, or should they just let him rip a bomb down the field? If he hits that, man, it's over. The game is over. Like that. That's it. Because
what if he doesn't? That's why I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I'm saying the opposite. What if Joe Milton comes out, they take a shot deep, first play of the game, it's incomplete. So second down, you're like, all right, we got to get something here. We're gonna run Jalen Wright. He picks up 1 yard. It's 3rd and 9. And now Joe's got to fit one in a tight window, and you're punting 3 and out. Florida's going to go in. The Swamp's going to go insane.
I mean, you got to trust your quarterback, man. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Do
I mean,
you trust the quarterback though?
You have to. You can't. You can't play call. You can't play call like you don't trust your quarterback. I mean, that's up to him. You know.
I mean, I'm gonna just throw a little coach speak in here since Coach Jay's not here. Just next play mentality. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Don't. Just because, like I said, something doesn't go our way, whether we can't run it or, like I said, hit a deep pass and it's incomplete, just next play mentality.
Yeah, I mean, if we take 10 deep shots and hit on 3, they're touchdowns every time, and we're winning the game. You know what I mean? Like that's I don't care if Joe Milton overthrows 7 deep shots. We just got to keep taking them because we're gonna connect. We have the speed, we have the talent. Joe has the arm. We know that. We haven't. Everybody keeps talking about, Tennessee has only had 2 pass plays of 20 or more yards. We've only thrown the ball deep like 4 times.
Yeah,
you know, I understand the crossers across the middle and everything in the Austin P game, whatever. But as far as those perimeter deep routes go, we haven't hardly thrown those. We need to be throwing those. We need to be trying that. I don't know if it's just a not showing your hand before the Florida game sort of thing, but we have to take those shots. We have to. Again, if Joe misses 7 and hits 3, that's 3 touchdowns on the board. And then our running game can do the rest. That's all I'm saying.
I love the chat because they're divided. They are divided the same as we are, because I want Joe to build confidence early. And it's what we just talked about with the Swamp. They're looking for a reason to say, well, I might as well pack up and leave. You go out 3 and out first drive, and it's easy for us to sit here right now and say, next man up, next play mentality, all that type of stuff with the coach speak that X is bringing for Coach Jay since he's not here. But don't give the Swamp a reason to go hostile on us. Yeah. Let's trust a guy that's averaging almost 10 yards a carry. Let's run the football down their throat. Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. It's so funny. I'm the complete opposite, and I've said it in earlier streams today, so it's not like I'm just picking on Gabe and trying to argue for the sake of arguing. Like I said, throw some of those sideline throws. Get Joe comfortable. Get Joe settled in. And then make him creep up in the box and take your deep shots. The deep shots are going to be there all game long. I just don't want it. First play of the game, we're playing NCAA 13, play action, throw it deep, first play of the game.
I'm right there with you, Boogie. And good stuff from Ben, as always. I think, looking at my notes that I kind of jotted down today, it was like he was reading right off of them. And I'm with you. I think you don't necessarily force the game. You ease Joe into the game. And I think you're riding Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson. I think you're riding that run game. And you're going – hopefully Cooper Mays is back and is going to, run, 75, 80, 90% of the game.
You guys think he's back? I don't think he's back. Ben acted very confident, so that excites me, but I didn't get the vibes.
It's hard to say. But, I mean, listen, the offensive line has looked good. We've been able to run the ball. We've kept Milton clean. So I think you just what I want to see, Joe's got to be Joe. And one thing I've been impressed with is his ability and his vision and the way he's taken off and scrambled and ran this year has been very positive and very good to see. So it's one of those things. I agree with you. I don't think you come out and you're just trying to force the ball deep down the field immediately, because if that first drive stalls out, but on the other hand, I trust this defense. I think this defense is legit.
Very good.
Very legit.
You're talking 11 sacks and 26 tackles for loss. And I think you threw that out earlier. I've got them written down.
Dauber's internet is not.
We
Dauber's
gotta
internet is not
upgrade Dauber's
elite.
internet. We got to upgrade Dauber's internet.
Well,
Did
here
he
I'll
completely
just
lock up. Yeah, he's locked up. Go
he's
ahead.
locked
X.
up. Well, I'll just kind of add on to what he said about the defenses. Yes, this defense is for real. I mean, listen, we can all agree.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. But I mean, no, we can all agree with Dauber. No, this defense is elite. Listen, Aaron Beasley, like we saw him play against, Austin P. He had a great game, and Elijah Herring did good too. Trust me, we're gonna see Aaron Beasley and Elijah Herring a lot this coming game.
Yeah, man. I mean, people have been talking about whether we want to, try and stop the pass or stop the run. People have been saying, oh, we want to put the game in Graham Mertz's hands. I don't want to put it in anybody's hands. I want to decimate their offense. I don't want Graham Mertz to get a pass off. I don't want the running backs to get past the line of scrimmage. And frankly, I think this defense is capable of that. I think the secondary is much improved, and this front seven, I've spoke about it this way. Like, you remember when Missouri first came into the SEC, and they were just known for having this defensive line that it didn't matter how good the rest of their team was, that their defensive line were game wreckers. They just took over the game and controlled it. That's how genuinely dominant I believe this defensive line is. And yeah, Aaron Beasley, he's my player of the game right now. He is my X factor in the game. Because
he's the X factor.
Yeah, he's the X factor in the game. Xavier's our X factor, but
Okay, there you go.
because what he's done so far is incredible. I don't know if he's going to have a crazy NFL career or not, but
Size
he is
may impact him.
that's what I'm thinking. But you cannot deny his insane aggression, his speed. I expect him to get at least a sack and do pretty well in coverage as well. Because if we take away the deep shots, Florida loves their deep crossing routes. They love the deep crossing routes. If we can take those away, they'll be forced to get it shorter and shorter, and hopefully Aaron Beasley can help us take those away. But I'm excited about this defense this year. They are, if nothing else, they're going to be extremely fun to watch. I mean, 11 sacks is insane. I mean, we haven't seen those numbers in a while, so I'm excited about that.
I get fired up because I don't think Graham Mertz is very good. And I think Tennessee, since Rodney Garner's come back to Tennessee, they've done a great job stopping the run. So you put Florida in these passing situations where Tyler Barron, and God, man, how exciting does it make me that I get to say that name, that Tyler Barron is firing me up and is going to pin his ears back and come after that quarterback. James Pierce, let's go. Joshua Josephs, let this defensive line eat. And if Graham Mertz feels the pressure and he forces throws, I said it with Ben, I've said it on Locked On Vols, I said it with BBD, I've said it 18 times today. He's gonna throw interceptions. Kamal Hatton just needs to turn around and find the football and make those interceptions. That's a key. That's a key in this game too. We got a ton of super chats. Let me catch up on super chats. We'll keep the conversation rolling. I didn't even make bullet points because I was like, Gabe's back. It's just going to be a free-flowing conversation. I've got Heupel's press conference. There's no way we're going to get to it. We're just going to talk Tennessee football. That's what I love about this channel when the regular guys are on and we can just flow. Donovan for another 5. Appreciate that, brother. D. Williams on kick and punt returns is a big key. Not many are talking about. No, I said that would be a picture-perfect situation is Florida receives the opening kick. Defense goes out, forces a 3-and-out, and D. Williams houses a punt return for a touchdown. Thank you, Donovan, for the $5. Appreciate that, brother. Mac McClanahan for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that. Dan Yoder for 5. Rewatch the game and getting receivers open is not a problem. The system still works. They will be open. They just got to they got to help Joe out. Like, I know everybody's critical of Joe. If it hits you in the hands, catch the dang football. And Joe, if they're open, put it on the numbers. It's everybody working together. Pokey Dave becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, man. You like the content, the live stream, the videos, whatever it is you like about this channel, you want to support us, hit the join button down below. $1. You got $1? I got $1. I got $1. I'm going to sing to you guys. I got $1. Hey, if you got $1, hit the join button down below. You get a power T beside your name in the chat. You get custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, even though Gabe's is deleted because we thought he died. That's what we thought. Like, I was telling jokes. I was being funny. And then I was like, I told my wife one time, I was like, what if Gabe really died? And I'm like making jokes about it. I have no idea where the kid's at. And then magically, I tweet out that I see this dude walk in the gym one day. And I'm like, is that Gabe? Like, this dude looks exactly like Gabe. And he's got sunglasses. He's real weird. I'm like, he's got the flowing hair. I'm like, is this Gabe? And I tweet about it to be funny. And then Gabe responds immediately. We're off to the races. He's back. I'm going to make him do a little work around here. I don't even know what that spiel was about. If you like Gabe, hit the join button down below. Parker Townsend for 5. Thank you for the super chat. On the other side of special teams, a bad Jackson Ross punt in the first could shift any momentum we have. He's got to be better. He's shown some signs of improvement. I didn't think we would get to see that against Austin Peay, but he did.
I'll say this, though. He has not done well this season. It's obvious. But you listen to those guys talk about him. And I have never heard anybody talk about a punter like this team talks about Jackson Ross. Literally ever have I heard somebody talk about a punter like this. So I got to believe that there's something that again, brand new to the game of college football. I can't exactly blame him, but I'm excited to see what he can do. I know it's a hostile environment. If he can do what people are saying he can do in this game, he might play a significant. He's going to play a significant part for better or worse. I just hope it's the good side of things.
Yeah.
First of all, I hope we don't see him. Second of all, I hope he only uses his left foot.
Why is he? Yeah. Well, yeah.
The right foot seems to be the weak link there. And I'll just throw this up there.
Oh, Dauber and his lack of being able to screen share.
I know it's not the internet.
It's your laptop.
It's a laptop, and I'm working on fixing that. The internet's good. It's the laptop.
You know, that's what worries me about doing everybody wants to do a meet and greet, and I'm working with a local bar, and they've got the offer there. We can do it. I'm gonna have to buy a laptop. Like everybody a meet and greet. I'm gonna have to spend $500 on a laptop just to do a meet. Like I'm gonna lose all the revenue from the stream just to do the meet and greet because I ain't boxing this thing up. Like it's got like it looks like a DeLorean. Like this thing is bigger than my Jeep. It's huge over here. But I don't know. I'll buy a laptop and come hang out with you guys. I think we should do it. Orange Sea Line for $5 for our favorite Zoomer Vol. Glad to see Gabe back. Thank you, Orange Sea Line. Appreciate the super chat, brother. And Rocky Top Rules drops $20. That is not cheap. I'm very appreciative of that $20 super chat, my friend. What's up, guys? Sorry late to the stream. Coming in from football practice. Film. Ready for Saturday to drain the swamp and beat the Gators. Can't wait for the pregame show as well. I love hopping on and talking about our Vols. Yeah, the tailgate show, I'm not ready to put it out there yet. X is working on it. We're seeing what's going to happen. We could have a special guest for the pregame show. And if this person confirms and shows up, we're not ready to announce him yet, but if he does show up, we're going to do an hour and a half long tailgate show. So we'll go live at 5:30. Bring that dude on for 30 minutes, and then we'll do our regular fan call-in show. So stay tuned for that. We'll see. You mentioned film study. I'll go ahead and plug Friday morning. Myself, Coach Jay, go live every Friday morning at 10. We're doing that at 9:30 this week. 30 minutes early. Coach has got to prepare for his game on Friday night, and we are going to have the guys from Blue Chip Breakdown. They're going to be in the house hanging out with me and Coach Jay on Friday. So have some fun with that. Should be a great time. Looking forward to hanging out, talking some ball with those guys. Man, I love the community aspect of this channel. It's one of my favorite things. That's why I love bringing Gator on, Ben McKee, having BVD on, Sports Talk Jay. Everybody on this panel outside of Dauber, I've never met in real life until this channel was started. And, I talked about it last night. I can't wait to meet Coach Jay when he comes in town for the South Carolina game. Me and Mrs. Boogie going to drive down and hang out with Coach Jay and Mrs. Coach Jay, have a meal together. Like two dudes from opposite sides of the country bonded by Tennessee football. Dauber, we talk about it all the time. It's not. I mean, we all love Tennessee football, but it's the people that you meet, the people that you experience that with, that's what makes this community special.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, the memories I have of so many people who aren't here anymore, the memories I have with people that live across the country now, sitting with my own kids and watching the game.
That takes it to the next level, doesn't it?
Oh man, it's my son was with my ex last week, and he was like, "What are we going to do for the game? Can I go watch it with Dad?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, everybody come on over." And it was just that's something right there, to sit down and enjoy the game with your kid. And just think about the memories that I have with people, And the fact that we're, back to being a little bit good. That's just the the icing on the cake there.
Yeah, now you don't have to talk them out of pulling for like Clemson or Ohio State or so. It's a whole lot easier to sell out Tennessee football. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but man, we're going down memory lane, and me and Dauber have talked about a mutual friend of ours that passed away. I've told the story a million times. The guy that I went to my first game with and passed away from brain cancer. And I was talking to BVD and Sports Talk Jay today in our noon live stream about thinking about doing a charity golf tournament, and I've talked about it in NCAA streams, other streams we've done, and it's like, Dauber plays golf. I play golf. Sports Talk Jay plays golf. Why not auction off a 4-man scramble? You're going to be on my team. You're going to auction it off. You can pay $500, $1,000, or $2.50. I don't know what you guys would pay to be on my team. Same thing for Dauber's team. Same thing for Sports Talk Jay's team. Maybe I can get Austin Price from VaultQuest to come play in it. I think we can do a lot of good with this community in honor of Chris. And, I would make it just a Talkin VAWLS charity golf tournament, but that's the dude I would be thinking about. All right, enough sentimental stuff. Man, I almost cried last week when we had the clip of Nico's mom. I need to stop being a big softy on air. Let's get back to it. Let's talk some super chats here from Wade Rouse for 10. I think our defense will eat Saturday, and the offense will pick it up. Florida only has 2 sacks on the year. If they want to play 2 safeties high and we run the ball down their throats, then throw it deep. That's where I'm at, Wade. Establish the run, then beat them over the top. Russell Moorfield for 10. The boys got to win for the balls behind the lines here in Florida. GBO, stay safe down there. Stay safe. And I mean that. Steer clear. Actually, go pick up a Gator Hater shirt like X is wearing and rep that down there in Florida. I'm sure they will love that. Dan Yoder for 5. Appreciate that, brother. No, I mean, there is no such thing as a good Gators fan. No, there is not. X, can you say that? Can you just real quick? I need you to say, no, Boogie. There are no good Gator fans. There are none. Ready and action.
I don't believe there are good Gator fans. I think they're the most ugly, disgusting human beings. It's just, no, Boogie. There are no good Gator fans, Boogie. There are none.
10
now
out
we
of
got
10.
a new clip. Now we got a new clip we can play with. I mean, it's a
10 out of
beautiful
10.
thing. Rocket Job rules for 5. Appreciate that, brother. Real quick, is it me or could Tennessee have ran the ball every play the last 2 games and blown out both teams? 100%. What do you think about that, Gabe? Everybody talking about vanilla play calling and what Tennessee did against Austin Peay. What are your thoughts on that and the Austin Peay performance just as a whole? I don't know, vanilla play calling?
I've seen people say that Coach Halsley is not trying to hide his hand for Florida, and I think that's stupid. You're playing, Virginia, who, I mean, we know who they are, and Austin Peay. You don't need to run more than the 5 or 6 plays that they ran in both of those games. You don't. I mean, obviously they struggled with fundamentals against Austin Peay, but that wasn't the play calling. I mean,
right.
You're no coordinator ever who is competent or worth a crap is ever going to show their hand or get into the playbook in the first 2 games like this unless they're playing somebody bigger. We got a little bit of excitement initially last season because we played Pitt 2 games into the year. So of course it's vanilla play calling. I mean, God, we literally saw like 2 interesting unique looks in either game. I mean, like it was always just that same quick pass to the outside to the perimeter, running up the middle. I mean, absolutely vanilla play calling. I think that I don't think the offense is going to look that different on Saturday, but we're going to see some scheme and some actual plays that we have not seen yet this season. They're gonna. That's why I'm saying like the whole deep shot thing. Like people having a cow about how we only have 2 20-plus yard pass plays. Again, we've only thrown it down the field 20-plus yards like 3 times. The Ramel Keaton dropped one. And I think, there was the Brew throw that was pretty deep that he was just barely out of bounds.
That was a great throw, too.
Yeah, and then the perfect throw. And then I guess there was the throw on Saturday where Joe just sailed it. I didn't watch that because I was traveling from South Carolina back here. But so yeah, absolutely vanilla play calling. We're going to see the offensive playbook opened up. We're going to see some new looks, some mismatching. I believe in Coach Halsley very much so to put this offense in positions to succeed. They just got to execute, and we're gonna see this offense ramp back up, and we're gonna hopefully not be talking about any of this anymore after this weekend. Hopefully.
That's what we do, though, right? We're so emotional, Dauber. We come out of week one. I'm riding a high. I'm making videos mocking Florida fans, laughing about it. And I don't know if Gabe said something to offend X. I don't know what he's upset about.
Yeah,
but,
man.
He just ran out the door. He's like, I'm out of here. But that's what we do. We emotionally react every single week.
Making fun of me for my internet. That's what he got smooted. Yeah, I mean that's what college football is. It's overreaction as a fan, and it's what have you done for me lately, and that's you look at last Saturday, and that's what everybody judged Joe Milton on. What have you done for me lately? You didn't beat Austin Peay by 78 points. So what? At the end of the day, that really doesn't matter. The style points do not matter. It's the W. They got the W. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Joe stepped up like a man. Got a meeting with the team. He took the blame. From everything that I've seen about that players-only meeting, he said, listen, hey, it starts with me. I didn't play to my potential. We all need to step it up. We've got goals for this season. We are, I said before the Orange Bowl, this team was in a business mode, a business trip mode. They went to the Orange Bowl, and they did not. They didn't go down there to do all the pre-bowl stuff and this and that, and have a big dinner, and it wasn't about that. They were there to play football, and it showed. They came out and they played well, and I think you look at Joe Milton. He could have taken the easy way out. He could have transferred somewhere else. Instead of sitting last year, riding behind Hendon, enjoying learning and growing, and like Boogie said, being in the system another year. And I think, man, it is set up for what an amazing story. What an amazing story if this guy goes out and does succeed and plays to that potential that he has. Because the dude is just chock full of talent and athleticism. I mean, the sky's the limit for him.
He's going to be drafted in about 15 minutes next April, if even that.
If he is still the starter at the end of the year,
I don't think it'll matter. I mean, look at Anthony Richardson last year.
I do. I think Tennessee needs to win 8 or 9 games, and I think he has to still be. If he gets benched for a true freshman, I don't think he's going in the first round.
Anthony Richardson sucked last year and
but
still got drafted like number 1 overall. So,
well, he's talking major smack to the Eagles right now, and I'm like, buddy, you're not even on that level yet. So I would just calm down with that. Also, I want to apologize to the chat. My internet went out. Lights were until you, Boogie. Lights were flickering. All that. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So, but I'm back. I'm here. Like I said,
there we go.
I wasn't going nowhere.
I love how X is wearing the Gator Hater shirt, so the camera's at a higher angle, so you can make sure you can see the hater. You got to be able to. Like, I wore it on a stream, and I'm like, my shirt just says Gator. I got to change shirts. I can't wear this shirt on stream. The thing about Joe Milton is it's so funny to me because the same people that argued with me over Harrison Bailey when I was saying Joe Milton's going to be the starter, because everything we heard from the practice reports was that Joe was dialed in and Joe was the man, Joe's arm, Joe's accuracy, everything was Joe Milton. And I'm like, he's going to be the starter. And then people get so mad and start saying, no, Harrison Bailey, he's a 5-star kid with the golden arm. If Joe Milton lays an egg in the swamp, and this is ifs, ands, and buts, candy and nuts, all that type of stuff, nobody is pulling for Joe more than me. But if he goes down there and lays an egg in the swamp, every single person in this fan base that has claimed to be a Joe Milton fan for the last 9 months, Gabe, that's how long you've been gone, they're all of a sudden going to be saying he sucks. Where is Nico? They've already started it.
But how many times have we said it before?
We're gonna have this conversation every week.
The backup quarterback is the sexiest position on the team.
I should charge a $500 super chat to pull out my phone and read the text thread from JP. And the text thread from JP means that he's texting me and Dauber and we're not responding for 3 hours straight.
Every mistake, every missed pass, every sack that's not even on the quarterback, it's blamed on the quarterback.
But the difference this year, you got the number one player in the country, signed, sealed, delivered, $8 million man. Gabe, you've not been on to have this conversation. What has to happen with Joe Milton? I know it's Joe Milton's team. He's the leader of this football team. He's the quarterback. He's QB1. But what has to happen for Gabe to say, maybe I'd like to see Nico?
He would have to play so bad. He would have to play. So far, I have not seen any indication of him playing how badly he would need to play for me to want them to put Nico on. I don't want to see Nico this year, man. I don't want to see Nico as a freshman on the field unless it's mop-up duty. Really, like I don't care if Joe is a Heisman finalist or if he's just good enough to let Tennessee get down the field and get in the end zone. I don't care, man. I do not want to see Nico this season. He's going to be great. I'm super excited for Nico, but it would take a just abysmal play week after week after week. It doesn't matter if he goes down in the swamp and he plays horribly. I'm still not going to be asking for Nico to be put in. I want to see Joe lose us. I want to see Joe lose us games single-handedly for Nico to be put on the field.
I think the time period for that is probably the Texas A&M game. I feel like if Josh Heupel is going to ride with Joe all the way, and even if he plays bad, even in that Texas A&M game, I think win or lose that game, mainly if we lose that game, the Nico chance will start. They will definitely start.
I think, barring injury, you'd have to drop the Florida, the South Carolina, and probably the A&M game, and then you're throwing Nico out against Alabama.
Ooh, is that where you want your first start to be?
It's not. It's not. But you drop those 3 games, this fan base, everything you've built, that momentum. I think it may be a case of, you start Joe and things start bad, and you throw Nico in to kind of try to inject some momentum in the veins, get something going. But barring injury, I think it is probably 2 to 3 really bad games. And I'm not talking, a 24-17 loss. I'm talking you come out and you're turning the ball over, and you're, something like 30% completion rate, just very, very bad quarterback play and bad decision making. And that is something that Josh Heupel has been high on Joe Milton's decision making. That is all we heard going through both spring and fall camp was the decision making that he's showing and demonstrating. And you combine that with the potential and the athletic ability, you see why he got the nod over Hooker a couple of years ago. And let's not. I've heard so many people say, "Oh, he lost that starting job. He got hurt." Hooker came in and never gave it back up because he started playing so well. So
I'll play devil's advocate, though. I think that was not a blessing in disguise. You don't ever want to see anybody get hurt. It gave Josh Heupel the opportunity to make the change.
Right, and I get that.
It forced his hand.
But it's semantics. Does when a starter goes down, if he's back healthy, should he go right back in? Well, I mean, they were kind of riding a hot hand.
And then too, why would you fix something that's not broken?
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the chat because it's crazy that people get mad that we're having this conversation. You don't think this is what the conversation that every Tennessee fan across the country is having, and that's the difference. And Sports Banter, shout out to you. You remember the channel. You support what we do. Try to sound smart all you want. We're just Tennessee fans talking about Tennessee football. This is the same conversation you would have with your buddies on the back deck drinking a beer. The difference is we're not media. We don't have to protect or hide anything. We're going to talk open and honest about our opinions on Tennessee football. That's what this channel was built on. It's what it's going to stay built on. It's what we're going to continue to do on this channel is express our open, honest opinions, whether we agree or disagree. End of story.
Here's the bottom line, though, and I can full-heartedly say this, and I know it's true for you, Boogie. and it's probably true for X and Gabe down there too. The four of us sitting right here, who is lined up at quarterback?
I don't care if X is playing quarterback. As long as
Joe Milton,
we're winning, let's go, brother.
Joe
How
Milton,
many years
Nico,
you got left, X?
I mean, shoot, I got
Gaston
about 4 or
Moore,
5
Navy
years.
Schuler.
Let's go. Let's go.
You know, they put D. Williams out there at quarterback.
Do
if
not
we're
care.
Winning, if we're winning the game, if we're not even winning, if we are playing good football and competitive, that's where I want to see this team.
And that's what's so funny about the whole thing is I'm kind of, I am definitely sick of the Joe conversation because, like, my God, it's just like it's such low hanging fruit, obviously. And that he sees all this, man. He sees his own fans talking smack about him. And I just want him to believe in himself as much as I do. And I know we do. But I think it's just hilarious that it's week 2. We just played Virginia and Austin Peay. And this is like nobody can escape this discussion.
But there's a reason. There's a reason.
I know there's a reason. I know
it's not
there's
week 2. It's 3 years worth of.
I know.
Like
I know.
Right.
But that's the thing is, it's not 3 years this season. It's two cupcake games this season, and we're having this conversation. It's just fun. It's just funny, is all it is. It's just
It's why I said I'm gonna judge Joe on a week by week basis. I'm not gonna judge him for what he did at Michigan. I'm not gonna judge him for 2021. I'm gonna judge him week by week. I thought he played good against Virginia. I thought he played bad against Austin Peay. But if he plays bad in the swamp, guess who's going full steam ahead on Nico Iamaleava? Spoiler alert. X, I cut you off. X was about to say something.
Well, and that look, it's like what Ben McKee just said. There's a lot riding on Joe in this game. Because like I said, you was born and raised in Florida. Go down and prove the haters wrong, man. Like, listen, prove all of us wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, step up, be that leader that you had in that players meeting, saying like, hey guys, just follow me. I got you. And just be that dude, man. Because like I said, I'm with you, Boogie. I'm riding Joe. I'm riding Joe till the wheels fall off. But this game, like, I want him to just go down there and just dominate, man. Because like his friends, his family's gonna be down there. Like, just go and show out, man. Just go and perform. Be you. Be Orange Bowl Joe.
Hold on. I gotta hit this comment. I want to come back to what Trent just said about Hendon. But let me hit the super chat from Philip Scalf. Thank you, Philip, for the $5. Says Joe's character alone shows that he deserves to be the guy. Armchair coaches are just fat and bored. Why are you calling me fat, bro? Why you gotta call me fat? Look, I look slim in this Tennessee orange. I felt like that's why my camera's just from the chest up. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Philip, for the $5. I want to talk about that though. That comment, Hendon spoiled us. Let me ask you guys. Hendon spoiled. Hey, you guys can drop super chats and call me fat all day. I'm fine with it. It's okay. I get insulted every single day. Every day I get insulted. It's fine. I'm good with it. Hendon spoiled us. Dauber, 2023, year 3 of the Josh Heupel era. Defense is ready to take a step. Front seven's dominating, leading the country in tackles for loss, leading the country in sacks. Yes, 2 mediocre opponents. Who cares? Hendon Hooker's the quarterback. How you feeling right now? You talking about a natty? If nothing else changes, but Hendon's the quarterback, how much more confident are you in this football team? And I get it. I've yelled at people and said, stop talking about Hendon Hooker because he's gone. But just for the sake of the conversation about how important the quarterback position is, I'm talking natty if Hendon's the quarterback this year.
Yeah, you have a proven, quarterback that has guided you through to a 10 win season because he didn't get that 11th win. Hendon proved it on the field. Joe has all the potential in the world. He's still got to do a little bit of proving, but. Like I said, when you brought us on after Ben, the big stat for Joe, yes, he didn't play great. And if we're judging him week to week, what's the big stat that you're looking at? W's. He got the W. So I think that is end of story right there. You're moving on to week 3 down in Gainesville. Quit dragging up old stuff. Let's ride with this team, get behind the quarterback, and let's support him.
Well,
come on.
For the sake of the question, if Hendon Hooker was the quarterback, I would feel very confident. I'd feel great because we saw what Hendon Hooker could do. But we weren't this confident in Hendon Hooker at the beginning of last year. We didn't know what he could do. I mean, we got a sample size, of course, in 2021, but we won 7 games in 2021. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't necessarily know what Hendon Hooker could really do when we got to this point last year. So that's why I'm just like, I don't care if it's Hendon Hooker or not, because I know what we know what he could do now if he was the quarterback, but we didn't know that at this time last year. So that's why I'm saying, like, we are just and yeah, just like that. I mean, Joe has 0 turnovers. If he can get he's had 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, I think, in each of the last few games, or last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. He may have had an extra one in Virginia. If he gets 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in every game this year, I don't care what game it is, and he keeps that interception column a 0, I'm good, man, because we know what this running game can do. We know what these receivers are capable of, not just like catching the ball, but blocking for those guys. We know their athleticism, how they can be implemented into the offense. So, you know, I'm really confident. I mean, I know this is a big discussion. We're only 2 weeks in. I know the inconsistencies, worries, but I'm genuinely confident, just because, again, we didn't necessarily know what our season was going to look like last year. At this point, we had no idea, like literally no idea. So it's easy for us to sit here now with those high expectations and say, oh man, we're going to lose that edge. But we didn't even know that we had an edge at the beginning of last year. We still got to be, it's just year 3, man. You know, I mean, I'm still, so for that reason, I'm still confident.
Well, so that comment from Wayne sums up everything. The Austin Peay game is why all these conversations are being had. If Joe went out and threw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns against Austin Peay, we would all be saying, oh, we're going to kill Florida. It's going to be domination in the swamp.
Here's something that's interesting. Dan Yoder throws out, you know, I guess based on your question, Hendon without Hyatt.
I was going to touch on that.
Balls out. I think he balls out.
But no, listen. That was last year, though. It was because it was Hendon without Cedric when Cedric went down, because Cedric was the man. You didn't have Hyatt being the receiver that we saw last year that dominated and won the Bolitnikoff Award, because he wasn't proven. It was Cedric Tillman, and Cedric Tillman goes down, and you're like, oh, what about Hendon now? He doesn't have Cedric Tillman. And then you had Hyatt. Here's the thing, and I said it at the very beginning. There are questions about Joe. There are questions unanswered. But I trust Coach Heupel and this staff. And what has 100%. He proved over the last 2 seasons going into his 3rd right here?
And we're talking about 2 games that Tennessee won that didn't matter. Didn't matter. These 2 games did not matter.
And run guys wide open and score, averaging 45 points a game.
He's proved it his whole career, too. Like, not just at Tennessee, his whole career.
You got to fight with these guys if you want to get in. You got to go. You got to say, Diamond, shut up. I got something to say, brother.
Well, no, it's just to add on to the wide receiver core too. It's like what you said, Hendon without Hyatt. Well, guess what? In the wide receiver room, we haven't seen anybody step up. Because like I said, look,
good point,
Dante Thornton, Ramel Keaton, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy. There's multiple weapons that you can pick. Who's going to be the guy to be like I said, like Joe was being the leader when he had that players meeting. Somebody needs to be the leader in that wide receiver room. Say, look, guys, just follow my lead, and I got you. So we're really waiting to see what kind of 1-2 chemistry punch that Joe Milton's going to have with one of these guys. Because like I said, we seen it last year. You seen Hendon Hooker with, like Dauber just said, at first it was Cedric Tillman. He goes down with an injury. Then you're going to see all of a sudden it's Jalen Hyatt. And we all know that's in history. We all seen what he did. So now we're just waiting to see who's going to step up in this wide receiver group is going to make plays for Joe.
I feel like Joe has that chemistry with y'all. Y'all can see. This is just what I've observed with Squirrel White. Squirrel White. There's I for whatever reason, ever since Joe started throwing the ball, ever since Squirrel White got here, there's just something different about him and Joe Milton passes. We've seen missed throws to Brew. We've seen Brew drop throws. Same with Ramel Keaton. Somehow, Squirrel White, even on those pop passes, Joe just somehow, it looks like he throws better to Squirrel than
But
he
how
does
much
anyone.
of that? Because I talked about this last year in the Orange Bowl, because Joe was running with the twos and Squirrel was with the twos. Brew was with the ones, right? And Ramel Keaton was with the ones. And I felt like when Joe came in, you saw the Joe Squirrel connection in the Orange Bowl. You saw it with Vanderbilt. I think they just have chemistry from reps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you would say that it's proven over time in college football that repetition absolutely has an impact on the game. I mean, and
But
even
at this
though
point-
Joe has thousands of reps with the other receivers at this point, those extra reps with Squirrel have to make some sort of difference.
At this point, that shouldn't matter quite as much because he's ran with the ones all spring and all fall. But at the same time, you're looking at 2 games, and I do think, regardless of, we can debate left and right vanilla play calling. I don't think Josh Heupel and this offense showed much of anything. You look at what they've done the past 2 years and scheming guys open. You didn't really see that. You saw the one that Brew dropped. He was wide open. Should have been a touchdown. Should have been 6 on the board. But really, they kind of dialed it back. You didn't have these mismatches and this chess versus checkers that we've talked about before. There weren't these games where you're running a play and setting up 2 plays later. It
Right.
was, it was all that we talked about, that bubble screen and that inside trap draw. And it seemed
That's
to
2
be
of the
like
3 plays they ran.
it seemed to be like every other play. And then they sprinkle something else in there that was still pretty generic and basic, and then go right back to that. And they still found success with that. And the big thing is, the end of the day, they got the W against Austin Peay. Could it have been, a lot more comfortable? I would have personally liked to seen a lot of the younger guys get in. To see Nico get in. Nico get in with the ones was what I was wanting to see. But it didn't happen. We're on to week 3. Move
What
on.
happens if they run Florida out of the swamp and we get Nico for like a quarter?
Well,
love
and
that.
I
I'd
and,
love
That'd be
that.
awesome.
and,
It'd be
and the
awesome.
next game that I think we might see Nico in is UTSA.
Be careful, X, because everybody tells me that UTSA is a trap game and Tennessee's going to lose. Let me jam through a couple of super chats. We're an hour and a half into this thing, and we got to still do our predictions, so don't go anywhere. We're going to do our official predictions. Who won last week, Dauber? Do you have it in front of you? Nobody?
It was,
We all got disqualified.
We were all.
Let's not even read them, because we
way
all
off.
did terrible. We all did terrible. Jeff Puckett for 10, thank you for the super chat. We all want to see Joe succeed, but you have to do what is best for the team. It's on Joe. If he gets it done, you ride. If not, you have to make the change. Gosh, I don't even want to start the conversation. It's coming. Like Dion said.
We've started
we
the
coming?
conversation.
We
The conversation
coming?
has started.
We coming. No, but it's going to get real bad if Joe looks bad on Saturday night. Get ready. People are going to hate me. They already do. It's fine. J. Neal VFL for 2. Thank you for all your hard work, Boogie. I appreciate that, man. Been grinding today. They've been a busy day. Wednesdays are always busy because I record with Kaner, and then I stream with BBD and Sports Talk Jay, but I love it. It's like I said at the top of the video. I am blessed. I am grateful. I will never complain that I had to get up and talk and work all day talking about Tennessee football. I will never complain to you guys about that ever, ever, ever. I love it. I'm grateful to every one of you. J. Neal, VFL for 5. Hey, just wanted to shout out. I was at Neyland last weekend. Nico stood in the rain for 10 minutes signing stuff for my kids and the others. Nico's a great kid. And
That's
it's
awesome.
not like I love getting the inside scoop from Mr. and Mrs. Coach J. They've been around him. They know the family. I love getting that inside scoop, but then seeing the Nico 8 Foundation. Like you're a kid that's getting $8 million, but you're doing things to give back to others. That inspires me to try to give back to others and be a better person, and he's freaking 18 years old. So we got a good one with Nico, boys. We got a good one. Riggs for 5. Guarantee the team is not questioning this as much as we are. Joe is still the team's leader. Everyone on that team knows it. You're right, Riggs. You're 100%
Absolutely.
right, but guess what? When you get on the internet to talk about Tennessee football, you're going to have these conversations. It's like I said, when people were getting mad in the chat, This is what, if you were going to your buddy's house and he said, hey, you want a Coors Light? Let me grab you a Coors Light. Brought it out. What do you think about Tennessee football? Man, I'm ready to see Nico. That's the conversations that people are having all over the state of Tennessee. So we're going to have them right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. That is what this channel is all about. Here's the deal, boys. I got to educate you guys because I got mad at y'all last week because I'm like, okay, it's time for predictions. Dauber, you go first. Dauber talks for 23 minutes, and then he gives his score. And I'm like, okay, X, dial it back a little bit. I don't need 23 minutes. I don't need an encyclopedia. And X goes, 42-12. That's not acceptable either. So then I get Coach J on Friday, and I'm making fun of X. Poor X. He's taking a beating the last week. The Butch Jones stuff, y'all riding him hard. And I'm like, man, I hope X isn't mad. I hope he's okay. X can take it. X has got thick skin, but we're giving him a hard time. So I get Coach J on. I'm like, Coach, don't be like X. Don't just give me a score. Give me a little something. Give me a little substance. What are you looking for? What are the keys? Something. And Coach J looks right in the camera and goes, 42-12. Did you listen to anything I just said? So give me about a minute. Give me 90 seconds. Gabe, you just got back. I'm putting you on the spot first. 90 seconds. What are the keys to the game? Give us your official score prediction.
Well, I want to see this defense go crazy. I want to see this defense go crazy. Even if the offense doesn't go crazy, I want to see the defense go crazy. But offensive, they're going to go crazy too. They're going to do well. They're going to put Florida in bad spots. The offensively, I believe in this running game. I believe in our receivers. I believe in our offensive line. Cooper Mays or no Cooper Mays. I think that we're going to do good. Joe, I believe in Joe. I believe in Joe exponentially. My main question is, does Joe believe in himself? And I think that he does. I think that on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he believes in himself fully. On Saturday morning, does he believe in himself? On Saturday evening, does he believe in himself? If so, great. If he goes out there and overthrows somebody, does he still believe in himself? If he does, he's going to have a good game. If he lets his mind get in between him and this game, he might struggle a little bit. But I believe in him. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it might get a little sketchy at some point. That's just the way this game goes, man. Tennessee hasn't won down there in 20 years. I was barely alive when the last time that happened. It's always a good game. I always look forward to this game more than probably any other game on the Tennessee schedule. I love the Tennessee-Florida game. I just think Tennessee, their scheme, their talent is just going to be overpowering for Florida. Despite the swamp, again, you give Tennessee a couple of decent plays, quiet up that crowd. The Florida fans, they are on their last leg, man. They do not want to see Florida suck anymore. So I think that Tennessee is going to be overwhelming. It might start out as a dogfight. I think Tennessee is going to pull away at the end. I'm going to say 38-17 Tennessee.
This comment makes me laugh. Patrick, welcome to the channel. You new here, bro? Your first time here, brother? It's your first time here? Anybody on the panel want to comment about how long I was ride or die with Butch Jones, Derek Dooley,
JG,
Jarrett Garantano? Holy crap! So much so that people in the chat were ready to delete this channel and murder me over my support of Jarrett Garantano. So much that his aunt, JG's aunt, messaged me and said, thank you for being kind in your words about Jarrett Garantano. So funny when people come in and form this weird narrative like, oh, you're a fair-weathered fan. Kick rocks, bro. Kick rocks. How about that? How about you kick rocks? X Factor. Wait, let me hit this first. Nate Pruitt for $2. Thank you for the super chat. Says Butch, please. And I mean for $2. I think I'll play this.
And you have to not lose the game before you can ever win the game.
I mean, I think that's the key. That might be my key to the game. You gotta not lose the game before you win the game.
That was gonna be like the thesis of,
I spoiled it.
My game pick.
Oh, Evan counts for 10. Appreciate that, brother. Man, I can listen to y'all talk ball all day, every day. Can't get enough of y'all. How many times does Napier go for it on fourth down? I don't think he's gonna play as desperate as Austin P. But man, his back's against the wall. Thank you, Evan, for the super chat. Appreciate that, brother. X, what do you got? Give me your prediction for the night.
Let Dauber go because, like I said, I got to build up. I got to build up. I got to build up the emotion, So but yeah,
I should have
let
wait.
Dauber go.
Should we save you for last, X?
Yeah. Save you
Okay,
for last.
we'll save you for last. All right, go ahead, Dauber.
Here's the thing: Boogie doesn't want to go before me, or doesn't.
Wait, no, I will go. I will.
Because
Actually, I will.
I keep taking his score.
You did, dude. But hey, I told
but I'm
you though.
going first.
No, I'm going first. I'll go first.
Go first.
I told you last week. I was like I almost wanted to change my prediction, but I tried to stay true to my prediction.
I've
even though you
got
were
mine
all
written
over it.
down right here already.
I don't have mine written down, but I'll go
I have
first.
mine written down.
I'll go
written
first. I'll go first just because it's funny. Atomic Gasman 213 for 2. Love Gabe, my favorite on the Talkin VAWLS. See, Gabe, what you've missed.
Thank you.
What's wrong with you? What's your problem?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I cover recruiting. I know recruiting. I live, breathe, and sleep recruiting. Hey, you want to cover recruiting? Crickets. Let me on red.
Is that your second account, Gabe?
I think it is.
No. I just straight up abandoned. I can't even make excuses, man. I just left. I was just like, I'm out of here, man.
To say, hey, bro, I'm getting off Twitter. Here's my cell phone. You want me to jump on? I'd love to stream with you, talk recruiting. I don't have to see politics in your text messages, but Gabe's just like, I'll leave Boogie on red. He can figure it out. Inner Coach Jay, the hero of the Talkin VAWLS Network recruiting coverage. All right, here's my thing, and I've talked this game to death all day long. Been talking about it all day long. I started hating on Florida after the Utah game, and it's because they struggled. Their offensive line struggled, and I think that plays right into Tennessee's hands. I think the defense dominates this game. I think, we've talked about the sacks, the tackles for loss, what this front seven looks like. I know Keenan Peely's out for a couple of weeks, but I think Elijah Herring has played good football, and I think you're going to be able to lean on this defense a little bit. I've said it over and over and over again. Joe Milton doesn't have to be Hendon Hooker. Joe Milton doesn't have to go out and win the game on his own. Hendon Hooker at times had to put that football team on his back and go out and win games. Joe doesn't have to do that. Joe just has to be efficient. Rely on your running game. Rely on your defense. Go out and be who you are, Joe. That's all you got to do. Ben McKee said it earlier. Tennessee could very well shut out the Gators in the swamp. How about that? Talk about a storyline coming out of that game. I don't think that's quite the case. I think Tennessee's going to score some points. I think Joe's going to get it figured out enough. I think they're going to have success in the run game, and I think they're going to have a lot of success on defense. I'm taking Tennessee. Y'all going to laugh at me. 34-13. We're going to come out with a big-time win over the Gators in the swamp. Everybody's confidence, everybody's opinion. Tell me that's your exact score. Tell me that is your exact score. Dude. That's hilarious because you can talk about over-unders. You can talk about the spread. That's not over-under and that's not spread. That's just my gut. I'm glad I went first. So glad I went first. Hey, brilliant, genius minds think alike. That's all I know. Vols 34-13. Dauber, what do you think happens on Saturday?
Man, so you've not heard this before. I'm thinking we've got to limit the Florida rushing attack. Put it on Mertz. Utah sacked him 5 times. I think Florida's offensive line is not good when they're going up against any formidable defense. And Tennessee's defense, especially their front, is more than formidable. These guys are stepping up. They are playing good football. I think they are going to feast. And I think that the offense is going to do just enough. Like Boogie said, I don't think Joe Milton is going to have to go out and win this football game for Tennessee. I think he's going to do enough. He's going to protect the ball. I think they're going to limit mistakes. And I think Josh Heupel and this offense and this play calling is going to be vastly different than what we've seen before. And it's still going to be relatively low scoring game. I think we all picked a little bit more with our hearts last week and what we wanted to see. Then kind of reality
should have
set in.
happened.
Well, honestly, yeah, it should have been that way, but it didn't. And I think that might be a good thing for this team moving forward. But yeah, as we just heard from Boogie, I'm going 34-13.
It's the best thing ever. I'm so glad I stuck to my guns and went first because I don't have it written down anywhere.
Well, I'm glad I had it written down so I could put it up there.
Makes it even better.
Man, and if we nail it, more power to us.
We'll split a cold beer together somewhere.
X. Buddy, the floor is yours.
All right. As y'all know, as much as I've been on the Talkin VAWLS network, and like what Boogie was always saying, that yes, I'm blessed and thankful to share this platform with you guys, talk Tennessee athletics, Tennessee football with y'all. I'm very humble and grateful to appreciate that. But as y'all know, I despise the Florida Gators very, very much. So going into this game, what Tennessee needs to do is just go out and dominate. Dominate, I say the run game. You got to establish the run game first because they know they can't stop us against the run. Because like what Dauber, what you just said, that's like I said, just Florida's defensive line it's a little bit questionable. But so I think our run game is going to dominate that. Now as far as our defense, oh yeah, they're going to eat. They are going to eat like some lions coming out of the den, ready to snack on them. So like I said, Aaron Beasley is him. That man is definitely him. I think we're going to hear his name a lot during this game. And then also like the secondary, if they just do their job, like I said, if Kamal hadn't just learned to turn his head around, he might get a few picks, few interceptions. We never know. Now as far as like the leader of the squad, Joe Milton, it's like what I was preaching before earlier. Brother, you had a come to Jesus meeting with all the players. Just go down there, bruh, and be you, man. Just go down, have fun, be you. Like I said, be confident in yourself. Prove to all the haters, prove to us on this panel that you are the guy, you are the leader of this team. So, Joe, just go be Joe. Now, everything I just said, my final score prediction will be Tennessee 42, Florida 30. Only just because that Florida, they always put up a good fight. I mean, I got to give credit where credit's due, just a little bit, not much, maybe a grain of salt. They always give us a fight no matter what, but that's what I'm going with. But let's go Vols, baby.
Let me hit a couple more super chats here on the way out the door. Wade Rouse for 42-20. Is that what you just said, X?
No, 42-30.
Okay, 42-30. I was like, oh man, he's all over it. 42-20. Vols roll them up, never in doubt. Thank you, Wade, for the super chat. J Nil VFL. Joe is going to ball out Vols by 50. I love it, man. I love this community. I love this channel. I love you guys jumping on and talking Tennessee football with me. We're an hour and 45 minutes in. I remember back in the day, I used to tell Dauber, JP, Indy Kid, everybody, an hour. We got to wrap it up in an hour. It's an hour. We got to stick to it. It's an hour. Going too long is not good for business. We got to stay to an hour. But you guys show up, you show out, you show love every single week. I'm not going to cut the conversation off. I'm going to let it flow. If we go long, we go long. If we don't, we don't. Man, we got almost 400 people watching right now. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, smash the thumbs up. Share this thing out. Even right now, you can share it out. People will get the rewatch. This channel is on fire right now. The views are up. The subscribers are up. Everything is up right now, and it's because of you guys. We can only go as far as you guys will take us. Word of mouth means everything. Tell a friend. The old saying, tell a friend, tell a wrestler, tell a gram. Let somebody know. Put it on MySpace. Tell Tom, whatever his name is. Let him know. Like I say, put us in your top 8. Put Rocky Top as your theme song for your profile. I would greatly appreciate it. I wish I knew my MySpace password, but I have no idea. Here. I got no idea. But like I said, guys, smash the thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, I got some videos coming your way tomorrow. I got a couple cooked up. I may drop 2 videos tomorrow. Man, business is good right now. I may drop 2 videos tomorrow. We will see, but there will be at least one coming your way tomorrow. Friday morning, myself, Coach Jay will be in the house with Blue Chip Breakdown. Come check that out, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That'll be a fun one. Tailgate show, either an hour or an hour and a half. I will announce it. If X confirms the guest, I will announce it, make it official. It'll be a big one. You guys will love it. Pray that it happens. I hope it happens. It'll be a lot of fun. Tennessee Boy 87 for 2 for the road. Go Big Orange. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Go check out the merch. All the links are in the description. For Dauber, for the X Factor, for the prodigal son that has come home, Gabe. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
Oh, it was very meaningful. I don't lose in Florida. So that's I took that one to the heart. I mean, pretty much take every game to the heart, but yeah, I don't lose in Florida.
That we call